بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode of Chinese Stories with Islamic Wisdom. Today's story is about a scholar in the Song Dynasty. His name is Xu Heng. We learned this story in high school called Xu Heng Bu Shi Li, and it's a true story. So once he was traveling with a group of companions in summer, and the weather was very hot. Everyone was thirsty and tired due to this journey, and then they saw a pear tree in the road. So everyone rushed towards the tree to take pears to eat and quench their thirst. Everyone except Xu Heng. He was just sitting under a tree resting, not joining the others. So someone asked him, how come you don't take a pear? Eat a pear, and we've all been so thirsty. And he said, 非其有而取之不可也. I don't own it. I don't own the tree. I don't own the pears. And if I take something I don't own, it's not correct. It's not appropriate. And they responded, 人曰世乱此无主. They say it's a chaotic word, right? It was during this time, perhaps there was a war happening. Something's going on in the world. To a point that nobody knows who owns this tree. The owner is not nearby. So they say 世乱, the word is chaotic. 此无主, it doesn't have an owner. The pear tree doesn't have an owner. It's okay, take one. And he said, 曰离无主, 无心独无主乎? He said, perhaps the pears don't have an owner, but doesn't my heart have an owner? Something powerful, he said. Doesn't my heart have an owner? Yani, I cannot control who owns this tree or the pears, but I can control who owns my heart. I can master my desires. And this is something powerful. And he continued to say that, for an educated man, even if a kid, educated child, he passes by something that he doesn't own, he will not look at it. This is a sign of civilization. This is a sign of self-control and restraint. And so this shows that Xu Heng is a very moral person, and he understands the difference between convenience and what is morally correct. So after he passed away, all the learned people they rushed towards his funeral and showed their respect. So I think he touched upon a core concept of Islam, which is tazkiyah of the nafs, purification of the self, purification of the ego, purification of the desires. Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah, he used to say that our desires are like a horse. If you control it, if you tame it, right? If you let your desires follow your command, then it is a powerful tool. It is very useful and beneficial. It can help you achieve great things. But if you let your horse run by itself, if you have no control over it, right? If it leads you to wherever it wants to go, then it becomes a source of great danger. The horse might take you to a cliff and fall off. The horse might take you to dangerous places. So the analogy that Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah mentioned is to remind us that we should be the master of our desires, not the other way around. Just like Xu Heng said, my heart has an owner. We should own our desires. We should be on top of our base desires and guide our desires towards actions that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are in line with Islam, which is much easier said than done, right? It's something that we all have to work on. It's one of the major projects of a Muslim's life. We should all practice continuously to master our desires, to control our desires, to restrain ourselves. And that is the essence of sabr as well. Patience is basically self-restraint. It is much more about what not to do than what to do. So here, Xu Heng didn't do something which demonstrated his morality. In a Muslim's life, a lot of times your faith is demonstrated by things you don't do instead of things you do. So he was able to stay away from the pears that are conveniently accessible, and he was thirsty, but he controlled his desires. his morality was more important to him than temporary enjoyment. So let's learn from Xu Heng, and let's try to be the masters of our own desires. Let's try to restrain ourselves and know what to do, know what not to do, know when to do things, and do things in a way that show self-restraint, that show aql, intellect, and show that we are different from animals. We don't do whatever we desire to do, but rather we do things according to what is right. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to have that mastery, to have that kind of control over ourselves. May Allah Azza wa Jalla help us tame our base desires and tame our ego. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us become masters of our animal instincts, and help us live a life that is moral and civilized, live a life that is spiritual in a way that is pleasing to Him. Allahumma ameen. Thank you for watching this video. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.